So I am John Rettinger, and I love consumer electronics so much that I started a YouTube channel talking about gadgets. Appropriately, that's called John Rettinger. And I'm here to talk to you about phones, but I guess specifically talk to you about, well, your phones. And chances are they probably look something like one of these. But there's one piece of technology that I want to talk about today, and it's called VoLTE, or Voice over LTE. So if you've never heard the word VoLTE, that is totally okay. I'm gonna explain to you what it is and why it's important, and give a bit of a history and a background on cell phone networks and where they started from, and more importantly, where they're going and where they are right now. So you've probably heard all about the G's, right? 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, and ultimately at 5G. The G means something. It actually stands for generation. And appropriately, the first version of wireless technology is called 1G. So it brought us the very first cell phones. I mean, maybe you remember when phones looked like this. This is what we used to call 1G, and it allowed us to do simple phone things like make a phone call. And then next was obviously 2G. And this brought text messaging with us, something that was brand new, a new way to communicate with each other, and made communicating globally even easier. And the next up is 3G. I think this is where the modern smartphones started to begin. This is where our phones really became online devices. And I'm assuming you know what comes after 3G, 4G. And this brought us lightning fast data speeds in the palm of our hand. Brought us the mobile internet in ways we'd never experienced it before, and also ushered in a bunch of new technologies. I think one of the coolest ones, like I talked about earlier, is VoLTE. Voice over LTE lets you use that same lightning fast data network for your voice, making your voice generally sound better. It's sometimes called HD voice because it sounds so good, and it's an awesome technology to have. There are a lot of other benefits to voice over LTE. So I mentioned clear sounding audio, and I can't overstate enough how awesome your voice will sound. But beyond that, when you're on a VoLTE call, you can do other stuff on your phone while you are on that call. You can browse the web, you can use GPS, you can do a lot of other smartphone things while you're on VoLTE, taking advantage of that high-speed data. And with VoLTE, like I mentioned, you're gonna get clear audio. And what that means is you'll be able to hear your loved ones better, and they'll be able to hear you better. It'll enable better communication. Perhaps the best thing of all when it comes to VoLTE phone calls is there's nothing that you have to do to make it work. Once you get your new phone that supports it, turn it on, make your phone call, and you're all set. So now that you know what VoLTE is, I hope you decide to make the switch and get all of those great voice over LTE features. And there are a ton of phones available that support it. Phones that look like this. I hope that I've shown you some of the reasons to make the switch to voice over LTE. Hey, no, I'm glad you called. I will talk to you guys real soon.